We're streaming, we're streaming, we're streaming.
That we are live on YouTube. Yeah, man, you can go ahead, Andrew.
Give thanks. Greetings, 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 friends and family, and we thank you for joining us for our third staging of Rasta, Reggae, and Resistance. I greet you in the name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie and Empress Menen, and I greet you in the name of our ancestors, our ancestors. I greet you in the name of our presence, our oneness, our people as a diaspora, and I greet you in the name of our future, which is what we are here to also talk about tonight. The past, the present, and the future. The 7 principles of Nguza Saba, incorporating them into our daily lives. So Nguza Saba 365. We give thanks for a strong panel that is here this evening. Dr. Alicia Blackwood, Priest Dougie, Aisha Elliott, Queen Aisha Elliott, and Artachi. And before we go ahead and get started with the dialogue and the conversation, I'm going to just ask particularly our guests, because a huge part of Kwanzaa is the coming together over the 7 days. And I'm going to allow the panelists, who are the experts, to talk a little bit more about it and their experiences. But I think we would be remiss if we didn't have a moment to just allow our guests to introduce themselves so we know who is in our midst and we can certainly start the connections. One of the things that I usually ask towards the end of these panels is that ones please put your contact information in the chat. So feel free to go ahead and do that as we continue the dialogue, because we want ones to walk away with this feeling equipped, ready, and excited about Nguza Saba 365. So before I introduce our organizer and our host, Asafo Wiedemeyer, this is his brainchild. He has wanted to do these panels for a while, and I'm thankful that he's reached out to me to partner with to be able to do this. But before I do that, I'm going to ask everybody to go ahead and start the introductions of themselves. So I'm going to start with Benjamin, and I don't know how the screen looks to you all, but Benjamin. No? Okay, so Mark, you're unmuted. So I'm just going to say, whoever's unmuted, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Nobody wants to introduce themselves?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sister.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Sister
Yes, Sister
Aisha.
Aisha.
All right. So I am Marcia Aisha Elliott, because as you know, they give a name by, your family background, Marcia Elliott, but Aisha, known in the Rastafari community and otherwise as Aisha. So, I have to work with both. Okay, some might know me mostly for promoting events and sometimes helping artists to get interviews and things like that. Always helping the cultural and the Rastafari community, always and ever since, And I would just say that I love what I do. I want to do more, because I know there's more that I can do in what I do.
Give thanks, Sister Aisha, Queen Aisha, and we appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
So, Aziz, who else would like to introduce themselves?
Blessed love, this is Atachi. I'm a musician, a recording artist, also a revolutionary. I would call myself a community development organizer, besides doing music too. So our whole aim and objective is to uplift the Black community, and we start from the youth for the most part. So the works we do beside being on tour or doing any music is also fulfilling that work in the community, So a creative and all aspect, but that goes any form of my creative works go towards the Black community. That's where we start from as the root, you know? Yeah.
Greetings, everyone. This is Kabul. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes.
Right.
Just Cabo.
All right. So this is Kabul. Hi, Aisha. This is Kabul. Greetings, everyone. I am Kabul, Pan-African journalist. And thank you, Aisha, for posting this because it's on your page that I saw it and decided that I needed to be here. So thank you so much.
And we give thanks for your presence.
Yeah, this is I, Priest Dougie. Give thanks. Rastafari, people's servant, priest of the order of Melchizedek, here to serve the people as well. Rastafari.
Give thanks, Priest Dougie. Mark? No? Okay. I saw Athrazar came in. Greetings, Athrazar.
Greetings, just joining. Still getting set up with stuff here. I'm Athrazar. I'm a musician, reggae. Looking for a drummer. Always put that out there. Good to participate and learn. Come to learn and participate. It's a blessing to be here. Glad you guys invited me.
And we give thanks. And we will have a musical presentation by Athrazar a little bit later on in the programming. So we haven't heard so far from Jazz, Paul Scott, Mark Blaze, Cairo, Dr.
Hello.
Alicia Blackwood, and Kyra Barr. So I'm calling you out for an introduction.
Hello.
Okay, Mark, and then Dr. Blackwood. A little bit later on in the programming. So we haven't heard.
Hello.
Yes, Mark.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Pardon me. I'm using this phone for the first time and I'm like so lost. My name is Mark Blaze, a promoter. Actually, I'm an ex-banker, former DJ and promoter. I'm new to the heritage of Rastafarian. I'm very interested to learn, and I think I have the right people to teach me. So I'm here for all the knowledge.
Welcome, Mark. Big hugs, big hugs. Mark is a good friend of both Synergy and Black Iowa TV. Blessings. Dr. Blackwood.
All right, Abarigani.
Abarigani.
And the response would be Ujamaa, because today's Thursday. So if we are counting down for the 7 days, it would have been Ujamaa, okay? So, and I like that, my dear sister Andrea, you started with, the networking, because Ujamaa is cooperative economics, and we need to support and network amongst ourselves. So give thanks for that. So I'm Alicia Blackwood, and I am the director of African Culture School. I'm an educator. Education is my passion. You can check me out on my website, drablackwood.com. It has a variety of things that I do in the range of education there as well. It's a pleasure for me to be here tonight, just sharing about Kwanzaa. I was introduced to it 25 years ago, and I am so happy that I just embrace that information and just keep growing. So thank you for inviting me here tonight.
It is our honor and our pleasure. We've been trying to get you onto these for a while. So it is definitely a joy to have you here. All right, as we move forward, Cairo, Paul Scott, Jazz, Benjamin going once, going twice. We want to hear from you. And Cairo, we want to hear from you. Yes, Benjamin, and then Cairo. Yes, please.
Oh yeah, I was still struggling with the sound, but give thanks. I just woke up in the link. Yes, hailing from the Netherlands. Rastafari, greetings.
Greetings.
Love to hear more, yes. Love to hear more upon the topics. It's nice to see, yeah, so many intellectual faces in one place to reason, and yeah, it's nighttime here, so I hope we get to some nice brainwashing, because it's the washing. It's a good term. I see it as a good term. So yeah, let's wash the brains tonight,
What's a good word? We give thanks. Thank you for coming in all the way from the Netherlands, Benjamin. We give thanks. Kyra.
Good evening. I am so happy to be here, and I am so thankful that I'm here supporting a friend and his music, and I am just grateful to learn and grow with everyone tonight and the panelists. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Who have we not heard from? Cairo and Paul and Jazz.
Hi, yeah, I am Paul Scott, all the way from London. Yes, I am a promoter, a record producer. I am authorities manager, and I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah, I'm just basically here to listen and learn.
Yes,
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Artachi, welcome. I mean, Artachi's manager, excuse me, welcome. Give thanks. Cairo, Jazz.
Greetings, give thanks, family, for having me. This is from Las Vegas with the Youth Them, and this is like my first time really trying to make sure that I'm celebrating Kwanzaa and getting my information so that I can grow it throughout my family. For those who are with me, great. For those who are not, that's okay. But here we are, and I just give thanks.
Oh, wonderful. What a good word. Thank you and welcome, Cairo. Greetings. And last but not least, Jazz.
Can you hear me? Good night.
Yes. Greetings.
Greetings.
Good night. Thank you for the invite. I'm here to support everybody in the diaspora and here to learn also. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome, Jazz. All right, so I would like to take a moment to just turn it over to our host, Asafo Wiedemeyer, who will kind of set the stage for us for the evening.
Greetings, everyone. First, just want to thank everyone for coming out. Yeah, man, want to thank our panelists, Dr. Blackwood, Queen Aisha, Priest Dougie, Tachi. Want to thank our musical guest Athrazor, and want to thank, yeah, man, all the participants. Yeah, pay attention to see if anybody enter the room at the same time. So, yeah. Welcome to the third edition of Rasta, Reggae and Resistance. Rasta because, yeah, that's what I identify myself as. You see me? A member of the great nation of Rastafari. Reggae is the music we use to spread Rasta message to the world. And resistance, yeah, Rasta is a resistance movement. And I do believe that reggae music is a resistance music. Some people might see it otherwise, but I saw I learn it and I saw I know it, so I saw I carry it forward. I am also a dub poet, broadcaster, co-founder of the African Culture School, and also director and teacher at the African Culture School, and just a black activist in my community, you know, which is someone who does what I can to uplift black people within the community and the space that I live. Tonight's panel is reggae music and African culture, and the messages of the Nguzo Saba. Yeah, prefer if Andrea asked me a direct question and just left me to talk still. So,
so tell us tell us a little bit, because when we were talking about these themes for the various Rasta reggae and resistance, one of the things that you talked about was Kwanzaa. Why do you feel, and as Sister Aisha said, she thinks it's important and you agreed, why do you find that this is so important, and particularly to you, Wida?
All right. Me not gonna lie. When I first heard of Kwanzaa, and when Dr. Black would tell her story and she talk about people ridiculing her for Kwanzaa, I was one of them. You see me? Yeah, when I first heard of it, like, to me, it was just a black attempt at Christmas. You see me? And that's how it was delivered to me. Just how people go about celebrating it and this. And this is like over 20 years ago, And I got dragged to a Kwanzaa celebration. And while I'm sitting there, I heard the Nguzo Saba. And this is when I became intrigued now. I'm like, well on, why don't they push this instead of Kwanzaa? They make it more about the MK and, and to me, it's not enough about the principles. And then just looking at it, I was like, the once a year thing with the principles now go work. So then my head start turning it over, and I come up with an idea that I've been playing with for a few years now. I have a presentation I'm gonna just run through real quick, because it will help me get through what I have to say a lot quicker and easier. But yeah, I came up with an idea, which is a book I'm working on. I'm gonna put it into a workbook so that, yeah, others can peruse it and thing. And yeah, share screen. Okay, can everybody see? Nguzo Saba 365 from theory to actualization. Okay, so that's the idea I came up with. What? The Nguzo Saba is a Swahili. In Swahili, literally means the 7 pillars, which translate to the 7 principles. And as we know that these are the principles of Kwanzaa, which are celebrated from December 26th to January 1st. The 7 principles are Umoja, Kujichakulea, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Kumba, or Kuumba, depending on how you pronounce it, and Imani, or Imani, if you are Rasta, you have to emphasize the I. So depending upon how you pronounce it also, but those are the principles of Kwanzaa. So when I saw 7 principles, it just struck me real quick, that 7 principles, we have 7 days of the week. So if we assign 1 principle to each day of the week, and we repeat 52 times to the year, at the end of the year, all that would sink into our subconscious a lot better than if we just be like, all right, from December 26th to January 1st, So we just wait for Christmas come, then we be good little Africans, and then when Christmas gone, we go back to being whatever, just like how the church behave with Christmas. That's how I see people treat Kwanzaa. So I put the 7 days to the principles, and Sunday, Moja Day, Monday, Kuji Day, Tuesday, Uji Day, Wednesday, Uja Day, Thursday, Nia Day, Friday, Kumba Day, Saturday, Imani. Now, Sunday was easy, because Sunday in like African communities almost worldwide is like a family or community day, We either go to church or, so that let me know that I was on the right step, Like this is some ancestral guidance now. This bigger than we either. Like, you know, so before we get to there, if you look at how the principles are broken up, you know, I see like the first four are teaching you how to interact with a community. And then I see the three at the end of the strong is like more self-development to be a better member of your community. So along those lines, it's like on Sundays, you know, on Moja days, families could come together for dinner, picnics, movies, whatever, you know. Also on Sundays, I would suggest like you give the children them some kind of affirmation on Moja Day that would emphasize unity, or some kind of quotation, or you just give them that type of vibration on Moja Day for them to get in the spirit of unity. And if, like me say, it's 52 Sundays or so in a year, so it would be more reinforced. And just run through the rest of the strong real quick. Kuji Day, which would be Monday, is the day to meet and organize the family businesses, neighborhood watches, and community empowerment and organizations. Because Kuji Jakalea is to define for ourselves, to name for ourselves, to create for ourselves, and to speak for ourselves. So if we're doing all these things for ourselves, you know, on Monday we would focus on this self-creation, whether it be the family business, the neighborhood watch, you know, but it's a community vibe on Monday, or Kuji Day. On Uji Day, to build and maintain our community together, make our brothers and sisters' problems and our problems and solve them together. So Ujima Tuesday would be collective work and responsibility day. That's the day for the community projects or the family projects, you know, whatever thing the family have to do together. That would be a day when they can come together, have those family meetings about how the house are run, how the household are run, and how you can make the household run better. And again, with each day, we emphasize having affirmations for the youth, them, you know, just to let them know that they're a part of a whole. This is one of the days when you could even teach them about the African value of Ubuntu, you know, which is that collective spirit where we work. So it's like you have each day of the strong where you can focus on certain African values. And Ujama, which is Wednesday, cooperative economics, that's the day now we support Black businesses, especially in countries that are not predominantly Black, you know? Because like if we live in the Caribbean, like say in Jamaica, then it's easier to support a Black business than say in the United States where, you know, but then like this is where you support your neighborhood businesses and your family businesses, but it's an emphasis on community financial support and economic support. It's building that strong economic base amongst ourselves, you know? So you would, on Wednesdays, you would support a business, make it the shopping day, find a Black business to support. On Thursday now, when we start getting to the individual values, you know, and the near to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. This is where we start focusing on our individual selves. And you start with, you know, what's my purpose? You know, within the family, within the community. How can I make the family stronger? How can I make the community stronger? What do I have to give to the community? So this is a day now where we focus on the purpose, finding our purpose, developing our skills so that we could serve our communities better. because we need self-development and them things if it accomplish these things, you know. And just I suggest even on this day, you have the youth them recite Marcus Garvey's My Duty Today, you know, which is to first lift your family. No, it's lift yourself, lift your family, lift your race, lift your clan, lift your nation, and be an imperial whole. You know, so if you start getting them, you know, we have to lift up ourselves so we can lift our families. Lift our families so we can lift our communities and our race. Lift our race so we can lift our clan, and we just go up and up and up until we reach nationhood, which is the highest ideals of for our people, like Gavi say, you know. And then Kumba, creativity to do always as much as we can in any way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And I think as African people, we are blessed with a creativity gene, you know, because we are a very creative people. So this is when now we can use our culture to create and inspire our community, not only to beautify, but to inspire others through art, through just interesting creations, but to promote the creativity within the community. I know that we could creatively find solutions to our problems. And then on Saturday, Imani Day, which is faith, you know, which is to believe in our hearts, to believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. And I suggest, you know, on Saturdays, like we study African history, we study the resistance, the African struggle. Because by studying the struggle and reading up on the works our ancestors have put in, you know, that inspires us to keep going and to keep doing the work. And we need that inspiration and just that, not just inspiration, but enlightenment from our ancestors in how to proceed. So that's a quick presentation on Nguzo Saba 365 from theory to actualization. And yeah, the book will be available. Small workbook will be available in 2021. So yeah, we can exit that and stop share.
We give thanks for those practical tools of the Nguzo Saba principles. And so thank you so much, Rita, for sharing that from your perspective, and we're all going to get the workbook. So as we move forward, I want to also now hear from each panelist. I know that Dr. Blackwood started off with telling us that it was over 25 years since she has been celebrating or was introduced to Kwanzaa. But for each one of the panelists, I'm going to ask you to share with us, and I'm going to start with Dr. Blackwood. And what does Kwanzaa mean to you? And you've already kind of shared with us that you've been celebrating for 25 years, but how long have you yourself and your family celebrated?
All right, greetings everyone. And before we get started, just a disclaimer, I give thanks to Baba Rita Maya that the correction when I said Abarigani earlier, it's actually Nia, because today's Thursday, but I did say Ujama. So I just wanted to make that correction because it is Thursday. All right, so I have been growing and learning with Kwanzaa, with my family, with the children. I want to say since maybe from my oldest is 21. So from she was young, we were embracing it and keep learning. So for me, exposing the children and the family to Kwanzaa, it was a learning journey. And so each step of the way, I keep learning more about the culture. And it also helps me to just reaffirm and reconnect with my history and culture yearly as we focus on it. And so as I keep growing, it actually moved just from the December 26th to the January 1st. And we started implementing it in African Culture School and in the home as well. And one of my daughter's middle name is Umoja. So it has been embedded in our culture and our values, our core values as a family, and how we support our community as well.
Give thanks. And so, Sister Aisha, I'm going to go with the sisterins first. So then Sister Aisha, then Artachi, and then we will close up that question with Priest Dougie. Sister Aisha, what does Kwanzaa mean to you, and how long have you celebrated?
Okay, greetings everyone again. I started traveling to the United States probably in 1992, and each time I go there, I'd see my sisterins there from Jamaica. They're always involved into some type of African festivals or, the displays. And, I always wanted to know why. And, that's when they really told me about Kwanzaa. And I was there one December, and we had the festival for 7 days, and it took me over, and I realized that, yes, we need this. But as the brethren said, sometimes we are all dressed up in these African outfits, and for that 7 days or even 1 day for whatever, and we have these African events, and we go back the next day, and we are back into whatever. Because I as Cabo would say, Africa. What Cabo would say, Africa. I was not born. I was not born in Africa. Africa was born in me. So I could be wearing just about any clothes that I want to wear, and I know Africa is in me. But you have a lot of people who would wear these African outfits, and listen to me, they are empty. So those are the things I didn't like, but I really appreciate Kwanzaa, because right now we are planning events. We do it every year. It used to be better in the years back, like maybe say 10 years back, and very nice, and it skimmed down in Jamaica, because believe it or not, you have Black people that don't even want to hear the name Kwanzaa, and they don't want to get involved. They want to hear about Santa Claus and those things this time of the year. But, we have to be strong, and we have to be out there no matter what. We have to stand for this. We have to live it. And that is what I think the group I'm in, I'm in all sorts of group. I'm in all sorts of group. And one I just came from a while ago was the Marcus Garvey People Political Party. But it's like we did a march, and out of that march, we come together. And now we are planning to do some things, a skill bank, and help ourselves, help each other, buy from each other. We have already started that. So I know we are living the Kwanzaa, living the Marcus Garvey, dream, and the Marcus Garvey, whatever, So we just have to just know that we have to be strong into what we believe in and live it, no matter what. And as I said, you don't have to have an African clothes to show that you're African. Anybody know me, know I'm African. My great grandmother is a Nigerian, so that even makes it better for me. So I just would say, let us just continue doing anything that we can in Kwanzaa, anything to keep, and the young people, to get them involved and explain to them what it is. Because if they don't know what it is, they're not gonna grasp it. I could say more, but let us, continue. And this was like from 1992, as I said, and traveling back and forth, and coming to Jamaica now and saw it got so big. Yes, I'm a part of it, and I'll always be a part of it.
Wow, that's a good word. And I have a question I want to ask about Kwanzaa and Jamaica, but I'm going to ask Artachi to tell us about what it means to him and how long he celebrated before we get into that.
All right. So Kwanzaa to me personally, all right. I learned about Kwanzaa while in college. So while learning about it now, we started researching and see the principle and realize that due to the trad that we actually take up, the African trad, the trad of embracing the blackness, Kwanzaa kind of fall right into place with the whole principles them we are live by. So automatically now it start going on our brain, now we start read about it. But when I went to Kenya last year and I started learning Swahili. So while learning Swahili now, I saw the word Kwanzaa come up, which will mean what? Like first. I saw the word come up again, and then the principles them kind of get really in the back of my brain now, we start study it again over and over now. But this year is the first year, would I say, formally acknowledging Kwanzaa directly, but nonetheless, we carry the principles them straight through because the Black liberation and the Pan-African ideals them we have straight through. We realize that this is the thing we align with it. So we have to really get and stick towards this principle now and make sure we can spread the principle all throughout, And I find that most of the time, most African people I come across and we mention Kwanzaa, it's not a familiar thing to them. So we know if I kind of explain to them what it really is, because I dream of mine one time out of ignorance, him kind of say, "Wait, that sound like there's some things where they make up over Africa." Him never really understand because me I tell him say him have to leave from the Christmas vibe because the Christmas vibes have nothing to do with his identity. So him really now just make a statement like that now, and then that's when me now have to enlighten him about the principles, how them can guide his life. And from then we really take on the principles them and start identify what it is with the history, or it kind of break us away from the whole commercialism of Christmas, because the commercialism and the consumerism is what really stop the people them and blind them all the time. We call it the biology, not the abstract science that most people know, but there's a biology in terms of the capitalism mindset everybody have. So I feel like aligning oneself with a principle like this and Kwanzaa over the ideology of Kwanzaa overall is a thing we can benefit every African across the world. So this year, formally, we put it into perspective,
Good word. Yes, Artachi, we thank you. And definitely last but not least, Priest Doggy, please tell us, what does Kwanzaa mean to you and how long have you been part of the celebrations?
Well, Kwanzaa to I, as a Pan-Africanist and a Black nationalist, those 7 principles are like the base understanding of who we are, how we live, how we're supposed to live. They help to structure I and I within our livity as Rastafari. Even though they fall under the Kwanzaa heading and it has been coined the Ngusa Saba, they are like everyday principles for a one like I. And I have embraced the principles of Kwanzaa maybe 30 odd years now, because my eldest child is mid-30s. So, and we've been celebrating with the community since she's been born. So I'd say I have embraced it over 30 something years now, 35 years. And like I say, it is the base principles to nation building, to us as a people that's trying to regain ourselves, our identity, our personality, our character. It helps us to realign ourselves with our Africanness, especially those of us who have been domiciled here in the West for most of our lives.
Wow. A part of Rasta Livity embraced the principles over 30 years ago. Yes, Priest Doggy. And I am remiss. I was so excited to get into the dialogue that I did not introduce myself. But I will just say really quickly, I'm Andrea John Baptiste, host of Synergy Radio Show, many other things. I'm happy to be here, and I have embraced the principles of Kwanzaa for over 24 years myself. And we do celebrate around the 7 days towards the end of the year, but it is a part of our lifestyle. My household, we are entrepreneurs, so it's economic development, self-sufficiency, we are creatives. I mean, I could go through the list, but this is not my panel, it is yours. So on that note, Dr. Blackwood, share a little bit about I know that Asafo went into the principles of Kwanzaa. Share a little bit or give us a little bit more in terms of the tie-in of the Nguza Saba principles, Rasta Livity, and Ubuntu.
Okay, so that's a loaded question.
It is.
But I'm gonna unpack it. So Kwanzaa is a celebration that started by African Americans. And Marcus Garvey was a big influence. If you look at the organization and even the writings of Dr. Karenga, he talks about Marcus Garvey, and the US organization was a key part. And so I had the privilege 25 years ago when I was exposed to Kwanzaa, one of the founding brothers that was a part of the reasoning for Kwanzaa was my elder, John Watusi Branch, who was with Karenga and the rest of, because it was a group of them. We're just having a reasoning of how to put they saw a problem, because this was in the midst of the mid 60s with the liberation, freedom movements going on. And so they came together and said, you know what, we have a problem, we're gonna come up with a solution. So as Brother Watusi, he would tell me the story about everything that happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly that happens in the reasoning. However, the principles were like the foundation that everyone agreed upon. There was aspect of it that some didn't agree upon, but the principles were like those foundation values. And when you talk about the sense of community, the sense of connection, Ubuntu, which is from the Bantu languages of Southern Africa, Kwanzaa, when you think about Kwanzaa, the idea in their reasoning was actually they went on a Sankofa journey to go back to Africa to fetch this knowledge. And so they pulled from different cultures, the Dogons, the Ashantis, they pulled from the Zulus, they pulled from different cultures in Africa. That was community was a big focus. And so that they were able to put this whole philosophy together and come out with the celebration of family, community, and culture. And so the Swahili, which is, it's not actually the number one language, it's actually the second language that is spoken across the continent, with over 100 million people speaking it. But it is the most popular language. And when you learn Swahili too, it's from the Bantu root. So it also helps you to learn other languages too. So they were very intentional and strategic about how they're putting the pieces together to make sure that they are able to help our people to be able to connect their history and their culture. And so with the commemoration of the past, with making sure that they are bringing the people together and reverence. It is one of those cultural celebrations that is giving reverence to the creator and the creation, you know, so helping us to connect on that level and helping us to just go back to that basic moral values. And I think Priest Dougie touched on that about it. The Nguzo Saba, which is the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, is actually the basic moral values that I think every African in the diaspora can, you know, come to, whether you are Rasta, Nuwapian, Hebrew, Israelite, whatever is your spiritual background, we come together under one umbrella of Kwanzaa and focusing on the Nguzo Saba and helping to strengthen our children and our family. I hope I was able to.
Oh, we give you unpacked, and we thank you for unpacking all of that. And so to further that dialogue, Priest Dougie, talk to us further about the alignment of Rasta Livity and Kwanzaa and then Nguzo Saba principles, because sometimes in our community, if I can just talk straight, we will firebomb different things that maybe we don't understand. And so I also want to ask particularly Aisha as well, do we think that there is a seeming competition between the teachings of His Majesty the Livity, or is it more of a correlation? Priest Dougie, and then Aisha, please.
Well, you have the you know, amongst every livity, you have the extremists, And the extremists tend to be threatened by things they don't understand because they want their philosophy, their ideology to be the dominant ideology. For I, as Rastafari, I defend everything that enhances my Africanness. And for the more free thinkers within the movement, I think we share the same sentiment. You know, and when you read the principles of Ngusa Samba, how can you reject any of them for whatever reason? They speak to the essence of who we are and how the African culture exists. Ubuntu. I am because you are. I cannot exist without the I. There is no I without I and I, which is the Rastafari version of Ubuntu. I and I. And you know, we enhance that within our livity. And the word livity now is not spelled L-E, is L-I, livity, the essence of life. You know, something that you cannot separate from, unlike religion that you can practice on a specific day and put it down and take it up back on another specific day. You know, this is with I and I 24/7. And those principles are what guides us, what binds us together. You know, Rastafari, the essence of Rastafari is to be the voice of the voiceless. You know, we speak on behalf of equal rights and justice, you know, no matter where or who. We defend rights no matter your color, your persuasion, your preference. You know, it's about justice. And if we are to continue to speak for the indigenous peoples of the world, we would have to embrace that universal consciousness that Ngusa Saba, you know, enhances in I and I.
Woo, good word. Okay. Give thanks for that, Priest Dougie. Yes,
what can I say? What can I say after Priest Dougie? A man of my own heart. But I will say something. I will add
something, Queen, not to interrupt you, but I want to ask you this as we talk about this. But do we think some of the pushback, as we talk about Rasta livity, do we think some of the pushback in Jamaica is because of the strong Christianity, and perhaps Kwanzaa is misunderstood, overstood? So I wanted to ask about that from your perspective as well.
Okay, well, being a Rastafarian over the years, you see, for me, I accepted my Africanness very easy and very quickly. I realized I got a fight because of that. I can't even have a proper discussion with certain people in Jamaica about being African. They're going to tell you I'm Jamaican, and African, you know, it's a race. It's a race. But yes, you know, so I'm finding out that the people here, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, if you don't have that in you, I know I have it in me. That is why I could accept Kwanzaa easily, because I lived all the principles even before I knew there was anything named Kwanzaa. And, you know, you have to be that person that accept that liberty and know that this is the road to walk. This is where you belong. If you don't accept it, believe me, you could preach from now till tomorrow. They are going to love their other lives that they live. They're going to want to be looking like the white people. They're going to be buying white dolls for their black children. They're going to be doing all the things that goes against their blackness. And I don't know how we can reach out to them, but I know I will never stop, because I know, just like how I've learned, someone else can. I don't know if that's...
No, we give thanks for that word too. Yes. And so Artachi, as one of our youngest panelists, what do you see any of the Kwanzaa messages coming out of the music out of Jamaica still?
Yeah, most definitely, because the music has always been one of unity. And remember the first principle is Umoja, which talks about the unity. And it's all about, remember, you know, originally, even in the golden era of reggae, you know, reggae came from where I would say they would call it Dongle. or Bakawal, if you call it, where most of the music was coming out of. Everybody realized that, all right, we're in a struggle, we have to talk about and document these farmers' struggle. So while documenting these struggle, it was an effort of unification to document these struggle and make the world hear it, And that is where we basically start off with the music. So the music start off with the first principle, and it actually bring in the creativity night, which is the same, what is that, Kumba. It bring in all sort of thing. Also, one of the main thing we realize with majority of human beings too is that majority of human beings live their whole life not recognizing their purpose on earth, especially as African people, because we've been thrown in so much different direction. So the music overall now, as it come, reggae music in particular, come figure direction towards African identity and embracing Rastafari liberty for the most part. So check any music you see from that time. To this time, we know there's a whole heap of infiltration to the thing, but originally the message never really changed, nor stray at all. So the music always maintain that type of African vibration, and it will never stop as long as the forerunners them know, say, all right, we have to do this, and we don't get caught up in the whole commercialism, because that is one of the main things that we really stop we from embrace who we are, Because yeah, we have Adrian now who come forward and him sing a song, but him don't want to sing it for really put too much African identity in it, because him feel like certain people not going to accept it. Not realizing say pop music as it stands is just a major part of corporation. It's a corporation scheme, And pop music is not a genre, Pop music is more of a popular music. And popular music, we now get a task now what we have to do with music. But we have to make the African messages and the message of Kwanzaa become the popular thing. And because Marcus Garvey always tell you about propaganda, If anybody read Marcus Garvey, them know say everything him talk about him say propaganda, So that been the thing. Remember the same tough gang come and say Africa unite. And it come forward and you check it and you look over Zimbabwe, you see Zimbabwe liberated because of the same music. So you see the music of all different traces of unification and the principle of Kwanzaa from that time till this time,
Wow, illumination, because you know what? You said the music started with the first principle. And that was like poof, poof. So we give thanks for that illumination on that topic. Before we move into the next section, I want to talk a little bit about the practicality, how each maybe panelist becomes involved in the practices, whether it's day to day or if it's just the 7 days towards the end of the year. But before we do that, I see some new folks, so I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining us for our third edition, or third staging rather, of Rasta, Reggae and Resistance. But I also would like to see if any of our guests have any questions so far for the panelists. We are going to... Yes, please.
No, Mona said just let them raise their hands so people can talk over each other,
I thought you were raising your hand. So give thanks, Rita. So yes, if there is anyone, please raise your hand. If you're Mark,
I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. I'm a tear to this movement, but how do we embrace this culture in our communities and family who are far left from the ideals of Kwanzaa?
Can I take that?
Absolutely. Please.
By explaining to them the principles. Because like Priest Dougie said, once you hear what the principles stand for, no rational human being is going to be like, I'm against unity. I'm against self-determination, I'm against creativity, I'm against faith. So it's like you have to let them understand, say, okay, first, Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday. It's a cultural holiday. So it don't matter what religion you are, what you believe, Kwanzaa don't interfere with none of that. It don't change none of that. It's about the African culture. Because if you look across the entire continent, you'll find these 7 principles in all African cultures. If you look even in the West, in Rastafari, like you find all 7 principles embedded within the culture. Like these are African values, universal African values. So it's just explaining to them, say, you know, these are universal African values, and as African people, this is what we need to heal us, especially those who have been enslaved and colonialized, you know, to help us to regain our Africanness. This is what is going to help us find our way back to ourselves by coming together as a community, working with each other in the community, you know, using our creative strengths to build our community, by spending within our community. This is what is going to build us. So it's just explain it to them in that way, and them can't reject it.
Yeah, can I chime in too?
Yes, please.
Yeah, my brethren, to get a little direct into your question, how do we get the far, whatever you want to call it, left, right, in the middle people to embrace such principles?
Right.
We need to incorporate them in our education system. You know, as an educator myself and as a Pan-Africanist, we've been agitating firstly in Jamaica with the Minister of Education over the years to try and get a Marcus Garvey curriculum taught in the schools from kindergarten up. It's the same way these principles, which are universal, as the Virgin just said, should be taught from kindergarten up, because they inspire that level of self-empowerment, you know, of knowledge of self. You know, it's the base principles that nationhood is founded on. And that is where we as African people are trying to return to, you understand, to the level of not a race, because we don't know a race is a competition. We're competing for the crumbs off of the master table. No, we want to elevate forward to being a nation of people. And these are base principles in getting to that stage of life. So as a means of educating everyone, getting everyone on the same page, you know, we need to incorporate these principles into our curriculum and make sure that they are taught to our infants all the way up to higher education. Give thanks.
Yes, we give thanks for that word. And I just want to, two things. I want to read some stuff from the chat that Athrager just said. It has to be that person who has value sees value in being African, and hopefully the unity of African. So that is certainly true. And Kyra said approaching living these principles as a lifestyle will also be applicable. Absolutely. And Priest Dougie, as you say that, when we finished, I was going to jump in and say, I'm a little bit more sneaky. I give books to their kids. And you said it because, yes, definitely. For me, that is, Mark, one of the ways that I try to work with ones that may be pushing back against the principles. If I can buy their youth a book, a coloring book, you know, a Kwanzaa, my first Kwanzaa book, and those type of things, so that, because most parents, they're going to read it to their child, right? And while they're reading it to their children, they then start to say, wait a second. So that has always been my sneaky tactic. So if you got a Kwanzaa book from me, that means that, you know, okay. But that is what I've always done with nieces, nephews, cousins. If they push back and they want ask tush, then yes, let me give you a Kwanzaa book. And in many cases for the family around the holidays, I've also given kinaras. And so with the, you know, and tell them, just put it on the table and light it up. You don't have to use it in the practical way, but use it as a part of your holiday decor. And those things too sometimes can help. I don't dash away, I don't know. But okay. So good word, good question, Mark. Yes, Dr. Blackwood.
Yes, I'm just all for everything in terms of the education piece. So I was just kind of piggyback off to what Priest Dougie was saying about the education piece and infusing it into the curriculum and teaching it in the schools. I have been, when I was in public schools, I literally taught the Nguza Saba as a part of character education in the school, and the school eventually asked me to develop a curriculum so that it can be part of the culture of the school. And there was no pushback because I embedded into what the development of the students' characters. And the other piece of it, at African Culture School, we teach the Nguzo Saba. We are very intentional about how we are teaching the students to be able to just reaffirm their history and culture and to be able to connect, and also doing the things, the practical things, working in the community, doing things in the community. And here in Orlando, we do 7 days of Kwanzaa where we are doing things in the community to kind of just reinforce it. But at the same time, throughout the year, we also practice Kwanzaa 365. And so we will have things for our parents and the community members as well. And just a constantly sharing that information of the practical application of it, it is key. On my website, we have a Kwanzaa book that I was one of the writers of that as well. And you can find that as a practical book so that you can be able to share it to even the novice, just to get the basic knowledge and the basic values of Kwanzaa. So that is on drablackwood.com. There's a Kwanzaa book that we wrote last year, and that's on the website. And it's the interactive workbook that you can use with your families.
Thank you. So I know where to get this year's Kwanzaa books for the ones who want to ask Tush. Okay.
Great, Dr. Blackwood. Great.
Absolutely. So as we talk about the practicality, Aisha, Queen Aisha, what are you seeing in Jamaica? You said that it started off large, but it scaled back. What are some of the activities that you are now seeing? And what are some of the activities that you would like to recommend throughout the island in, regards to Kwanzaa 365 as well as the 7 days?
Okay, for me personally, starting even with the youth, I would read it to them. I wouldn't just give them the book because I know how people and children are. I am a good storyteller. I love to read to children. That's how I reach out to them. I sit them down and I read to them and I ask them questions. So that is what I would firstly do for the young people. Okay, to get that into their head, because remember the youths are coming after us and they are going to be stronger. That's what I believe, and they're going to be better. Okay, when I saw the first Kwanzaa event in Jamaica, it was very impressive, very impressive. And I remembered Queen Mother Samaj was there, and quite a few of the Marcus Garvey people, where the settings was just like what a Kwanzaa setting is. The eating, the sharing, the talking. We did that for like about 3 years. Great, great events. And then somehow it just started disappearing. And I as I tell you, there are some of us that we keep doing it. We are going to have one on the 19th and we're going to have one on the 27th. Right? One is going to be virtual, the other is going to be a very small gathering because we want to bring in a memoir for Marcus Garvey's son. So we're going to try something, with a small amount of people and just kind of bring that memory and just keep it, to a certain amount. But we just keep doing it. As I said, you're just not seeing it happening. We talk about it. We put things out on Facebook. We have interviews about it. There are so much things we have done. But I think because this festive season is such a large thing that Black people still don't understand, it's like after the 25th, what else? I don't need nothing else. But as I said, for us who are holding the fort and we just believe that it has to be there, we keep pushing it from now, my sister Blackwood. We don't stop. We keep pushing it. We could keep pushing it before. We keep pushing it right through the time. Everything we talk about is the liberty of Kwanzaa. So we just can't give up. We can't give up because we just have to keep pushing it. And just so I see it, and just to comment again too, I heard when someone said it's easier to buy Black in Jamaica. No, it's not. When you go downtown, it's pure Chinese
True
product you
your
see.
talk.
And the
True
people
your
are
talk, man.
buying the Chinese thing. There is no
Yes.
there's no African. You'll go to a store and African fabrics, they have to put them on sale to get them sold. And when people buy them sometimes, they use them for tablecloth or cushion, and nothing is wrong with that, but they don't want to wear it. But you're not finding people buying African in Jamaican. Don't let anybody fool you. Anyone who used to wear an African outfit, someone brought it for them or they traveled and bought it. It is not, no, they go downtown and buy the Chinese clothes and the Chinese this and the Chinese that. So they don't buy African in Jamaica, my brother. They don't. It's so
Education,
sad, but it is
education,
true.
education.
And if we could find a way to just get into the heads of our Black people, which I said is very hard. Yes, and that's why I read to the children. I get them and I read to them and I ask them questions and I let them answer so they can. Because when you're answering, you're feeling it, you know. So I used to, even when my son was small, I would they call it Sunday school, but I just call it a Sunday gathering. Because that's the easiest time to bring them together. And I would bring them on the veranda. I teach them about Rastafari. I teach them about Marcus Garvey. I never knew about Kwanzaa and its principles, but I know I was living it. So whatever I thought, it was Kwanzaa, you know. So that's just me, and that's just how I'm gonna do it, and I will not stop.
We give thanks for that push. Yes, man. Priest Dougie, just to piggyback, what
Hello, not hearing anyone.
we hear, Priest Dougie, to piggyback on what Queen Aisha just said. You mentioned that you've been working with the Ministry of Education. Where has that gone? How far has that gone? Do we see any light at the end of the tunnel for incorporation into the general curriculum?
Well, the thing about Jamaica is that you will start a negotiation with one minister and a certain party. And when that party loses and is replaced, you have to start all over again. And in the previous administration, which was the PMP before the GLP took over, we had gained some ground. Being led, the issue is being led at this point by the son of Marcus Garvey, Julius Garvey, who I must interject here that his eldest brother, Marcus Garvey Jr., passed away 2 days ago. Peace be unto his soul. Julius is the one left here now to continue the work, and he has been leading the charge in Jamaica with the ministry, trying to get them to institute a curriculum of Garvey and a form of more Afrocentric curriculum to educate our people on who they are, their origins, and who we are as African people. Well, part of the problem I find to even to link with what Sister Aisha said, our people reject themselves because of how we were taught. The colonial, 500 years of colonial brainwashing will not be erased so easily. It's a working process. You know, we have to educate our people. We have to take on a very extensive education process, you know, because as we see in the abundance of knowledge, our people are still fooled by fake news. The computer and the bombarding of information on social media does not help. Even though there's anything you want to learn, you can type and learn on the social media. It is too much information being disseminated too fast for people to digest it, for you to get a full comprehension of the knowledge that you seek. So we need to institutionalize it. We need to break it down into a curriculum where we can phase it into our education system and have it taught, like I said, from the youths up, from kindergarten up. Because our race, unlike others, have gone through something no other race has gone through. No other race has lost their identity, okay, have adopted have been forced to adopt a foreign understanding of spirituality, which they coin as religion, okay, and has over 500 years been forced to acknowledge a foreign image, a white image of a representation of our deity.
Okay.
So there's a lot that has been done to us, and it's not going to just in 7 days of Kwanzaa or in even 28 days of February, so-called Black History Month. This has to be infused in our everyday teaching, our everyday system of understanding for us to really embrace it. You know, the Rastafari creed is something that I love. I would love to see us live it more, but it really speaks to the essence of who we are. The aged be protected, the infant cared for, the sick nourished. You understand?
The hungry fed.
Hungry be fed. Thank you. You know, it is the essence of who I am, because I am a community activist. I live to serve my community. I work 24/7 to try and uplift my community. Here in Florida, where I am domiciled, myself and Ras Jabalani, we have a foundation called the Roots Foundation, which we have held the Marcus Garvey extravaganza celebration every August for the last 18 years. And it has grown from strength to strength, that now it is a signature event in Florida that even when we try to give it up because of frustration and lack of help, the wider community came to us and said that we can't give it up. It is essential because it is the only time that families come out and are educated on their Africanness from a grassroots level, not from a professor speaking down to a listening audience, but an interactive process of reasoning and understanding one another, sharing knowledge of who we are.
Very good.
We give thanks for that, Priest Doggy, because yes,
Very good.
and that I personally have watched that event grow and grow and grow, and we give thanks for it happening. And so,
Professor,
yes, sir.
Sister Andrea, I just want to say, I know you asked for a guest. I'm not sure if Sister Kabu is still there, but I would love to hear from her because I heard you ask for a guest. So I don't know if Kabu is still there.
Yes.
Kabu, are you still there?
I'm here, Aisha. I really am finding this
I don't know
pretty
if she's there, probably.
She's speaking.
Yes, I'd love.
Right. So I'm finding this pretty interesting, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yes, yes.
like listening.
Remember, you give us the Sunday school every Sunday morning, you know, Sunday school running African. Yes.
But you know, I listen to closely to what everybody's saying, and I really I'm agreeing with yourself and Priest Dougie in particular regarding the Jamaican situation. You know, the challenges that we have there. The issue of Christianity was raised earlier, which we cannot we can't underestimate. This has a lot to do with how far we have come and the extent to which Kwanzaa is embraced or not. So that if we say unity and purpose, the church will come on board.
Connection kind of bad.
But if we say Nia, then that is Africanism, and Africanism is paganism, and paganism is a sin. And so, and we can't move from, we won't move from there because the very African language is considered a sin in Jamaica. It's sinful to speak African, not just to say in Jamaica is wrong, but really it is within the Christian church and especially the charismatic churches. I am from a Christian background, so I'm speaking of out of experience, where my father is a Pentecostal minister, my mother is an evangelist in the church, or my sisters are Sunday school teachers, my brother is a pastor in New York, and that leave me as the only backslider. I'm just speaking from experience about
Right here.
how Africa is viewed. So and this is and so my own Aisha spoke of how we used to come together back in the day. You talk about the Mother Samad functions and so on. We still meet, in our homes and in our little communities and so on. But it's going to take exactly what Priest Dougie says. It's what it's going to take to change perceptions, and that it has to go through the education system.
So what would it take to revamp the entire system to retool kids in Jamaica or the West Indians to retool the learning capacity as far as learning who they are?
Have to decolonize the curriculum, decolonize the nation, decolonize the parliament, decolonize the spaces.
This is a very tough one.
Yes.
Yeah. Real talk.
Multi-generations to get us here. Unfortunately, it seems that it's going to be multi-generations to get us out, but we have a concerted critical mass, in my opinion, that is growing stronger and having greater awakenings and more impact and stepping up and understanding that exactly what Kabu said, we have to be decolonized, and slowly but surely, Mark, I think many of us are seeing that and experiencing that. But as we look at systemic, the system is made up of people. And so when we put things into play and say, okay, we're going to do it, and procedures and protocols, we still have to rely on the people to ensure that these things happen. And unfortunately, enough of the people, they got the kinks in their minds. So that's my 2 cents. But also, if we give thanks for that sharing, Sister Kabu, we give thanks. And I know you're having an event towards the end of the month, correct? No?
Not me personally, but I'm participating in many, including one that is coming out of the UK, which is a Kwanzaa event. And then I know Lakim Samaj is doing another Kwanzaa that I'm a part of. So I'm not sure which one in particular you're referencing.
I am not sure either, because I know I saw a flyer, I believe it was on Sister Aisha's page about the information. Artachi, let me ask you, Reggae community, what is the community doing? What should they be doing? What can they be doing? And how can we get them to be doing?
I was coming there. Love that.
All right. See, for the most part, what I feel though, I feel like the reggae community, when you say reggae, what the foundation was is not what it actually is, because most people within the reggae community, they don't see themselves as entertainers, as opposed to my philosophy is that music is community service in the form of melodies. But not many people live by that. So you see an actor would be on TV acting, but most people because when I check it, if I go check my RI, for instance, we have an event in Jamaica called Entrepreneurship Meets Live Music that we do on a yearly basis. When I try to get majority of the reggae artists to actually come to the event to just give motivational speeches based on being influencers, being given that music is entrepreneurship to the highest form. That is the greatest commodity that came out of Jamaica in an entrepreneurial form. Most of them, they don't see it as they need to fulfill a community purpose. They see every single thing that they go to as, okay, it's a money thing. Like I've had artists throwing figures at me, okay, all right, 300,000, we need to come to speak to youth. So that is the first mindset that need to get out of there. We're not asking you to perform. We're telling you that you're influencers, and we need you to realize that you're a role model to a lot of different youths and just play your part. But thus far, most of the people within the reggae community, so to speak, they are just entertainers. And it's okay to be an entertainer, but then here where the problem lies now. The problem coming where majority of people, you use a culture to accelerate yourself. You see, you use the culture of Rastafari to accelerate yourself. So one would expect that you would actually take the tenets of and the principles of Rastafari and try to go and spread that throughout the world in a physical manner, not just on stage, because you can't just be on stage and sing a song and say, okay, you're fulfilling your part. And then the next thing too is that I would call it a meism. Meism is the thing that I really see going around in the community for the most part. Because meism, where a lot of people, they don't see, how I would put it now, they don't see themselves as just being that vessel that can carry on African liberation. And I don't really see reggae in this current day and age. I don't see reggae as being the revolutionary force that it used to be, because I really try and do the work that we're supposed to do still, you know. But when it comes to my co-workers, them as most people would call them, when I really try to approach a lot of them, I realize that they don't go beyond the entertainment line. And that is where the problem is for the most part. So it actually, that is a sector of the thing that you really need to fix up. And I fix up and really get a sense of organization and let them know that this is the root of it. The root is a thing that is struggle oriented and is a thing that is have to do with Black liberation. And then we'll rise from there and build up from there. But if they're going to see themselves as just solely entertainers, then that is where the problem lies, because them don't really give credence to anything outside of entertainment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I've seen as a promoter, this jockey, you know, is in music, reggae music, is that majority of the artists, the grassroots problem is they don't understand the business of reggae music. Everyone's hustling the business. Because right now, I have roughly about 75 artists that comes to me every month to get an ear for interview, and a simple bio or the lyrical content of the song makes no sense. As a Jamaican artist, there are artists in Trinidad and Africa who's doing better music than Jamaicans.
You see the business aspect of the thing is where right now I can tell it's actually kind of the opposite now, where most people are just focused solely on the business and not on anything beyond the business, because that is where the problem lies. You see, while everybody is focused on business, when they focus on business now, they internalize the trends that are taking place, and the trends that they internalize is what take them away from the grassroots. And that is where the problem really lies. So I feel like most people must really focus on creativity, which is one of the principles of Kwanzaa. Creativity. Make sure that the creativity is something that aligns with your true self. Because I even heard an artist tell me recently behind the door that, okay, you know what, the music I'm doing right now, I don't really want to do this music, but I'm doing it because this is what the people want. You see? So I was telling him that, and it's a popular artist too, a very popular artist in Jamaica. So he's saying he's not doing the music that he wants to do. He's just doing music that a lot of people want. So he give them that because of what? Because he's thinking about just finance, and he's thinking about things from an economic standpoint, not realizing the destruction that he's causing. Because while music heals, lyrics and certain things within the music can be very destructive. And a lot of people not kind of seeing that whole gist of things for the most part within the musical environment, you know. So that is where most of the problem really there right now.
Good point.
But I understand what you're saying when you talk about the artists not being professional is what you're really alluding to there, where, you know, they don't produce a good bio or their lyrical content doesn't make sense. Part of this again comes back to education, you know. And the fact of the matter is that these artists need to be held to a certain higher standard too, because they are influencing the young minds that are coming up. And, you know, you're giving the people what the people want and not what the people need.
Right.
As a musician, you are an artist. You are creating an art that you are giving to the people. You understand? So you need to be more constructive in your creation. And like the brethren said, we need to embed that principle of Kwanzaa, that creativity, you know, and to address the failing of the Kwanzaa celebration and our cultural celebrations. And that's one of the reasons as well. We need to be more creative.
Yes.
Each year we need to change up things a little, go into ourselves and come up with some different presentation of the same message.
Yes.
Not wear out the people with the same format
thing.
every yes, every
Yes.
time, you know. And as I see myself and Bridget, from my generation, we often say that we have seen the best, because what we are seeing in most areas of life right now is regurgitation, re-rinsing, carbon copy. We are not
Yes.
seeing originality. We're not seeing creativity. You understand?
Yes.
We are not seeing our people putting out their highest potential. We are settling for the mediocrity.
Yes.
You understand? And that is what I'm seeing in the music, in the culture, in the livity. We embrace artists like Cartel and these artists that are not giving any positive message. They're teaching the people about bling bling, just about money and popularity. And we, the people who are consuming it and spending our money, we are part of the problem. We are creating idols of these people. You know, as a artist sing a one-hit song, all of a sudden he's the most popular person who can run for president. You understand? We need to come back to our community-based living, where the elders, the tried and proven elders, are the ones that give us advice. The elders have a place. There's an old saying, Jah call upon the youths because they are strong. He calls upon the elders because they know the way. You put the youth, the strength of the youth with the knowledge of the elder together, and you have an unstoppable force. We need to recreate that force to make the changes that we desperately need in our community. We need to take back our community from the politicians. Stop looking to big government to solve our problems, and take our community one street, one lane, one gully bank at a time, and uplift it and build it and give the youths coming out of those areas a chance to achieve their ultimate and highest potential.
Yep. You know, just one more thing to add to that. You see the part where you mentioned, say we need to take back all of these things, is that, and find different ways of appeal to the people. That is a critical thing, you know, because I realize most people within the community, they might be in a dilapidated state. They might be in a state where them financially as poor as them would call it, but them not realize them a contribute to that also, you know. So we have to find different methods to really draw them out, because even recently I saw a thing where my community is a ghetto, so to speak, where they would call it, and we do a scholarship for the community, because we hear a lot of complaints, and we do a scholarship, and you know, realize nobody in the community don't apply for the scholarship as well, and the word was out there. Everybody got the word.
Of water, the fool is thirsty, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa, this dialogue is hot. Anybody feel the heat up in here? The Kwanzaa heat. I feel like the Kanara, all of the candles are lit and it is blazing. A good word from our panelists and our guests so far. And our time. Say that again, Vida. Hello? I think I lost you.
Technical difficulty.
Oh, yes. We can't hear you, Wida. But I just want to say our time is winding down. So I want to go through and ask a couple of final questions, because we have Afrajor with us and we definitely would like to seal us up with a performance. So for any panelists who, well, first of all, let me just ask some of the traditional things, because I've mentioned Kinara, I heard Asafo mention the Mekekas and things of that nature, but Dr. Blackwood, just give us an overview of what these items are, could be, should be, and how they're used in a Kwanzaa celebration.
So when we get to the celebration aspect of it, just for the table, we have the mkeka, which is a mat that is placed where you put the kinara. The kinara is the candle holder with a 7. with the 7 candles, and you have the black candle in the center that represents the unity, represents the people, and the red candles and the green candles are representative of the principles as well. And so every night those candles are lit during the night of as we go through the celebration. But just remember this piece, when we go into the symbols, these are just symbolism to be able to connect and speak deeply to us as a people, and even for a powerful lesson for the children in helping them to connect, because symbols speaks deeply to the core and help you to remember and just help them to just reconnect and just reaffirm. So we have the Nguzo Sabas that is added and being taught. We have the flag, which is the Bandera, which is the red, black, and green flag that was given by Marcus Garvey. And so that was another influence as symbols. You know, Zawadis, which are gifts, and those are things. And so the gifts, so we have to be mindful as things are growing and changing, and millions of people are celebrating Kwanzaa. We have to still be mindful of the commercialization of it to make sure that we are knowledgeable of the history and culture and know it for ourselves. And just be mindful of some of the things you're pulling from the internet because it is wrong. People are selling posters and kinaras and stuff, and it is not representative, correct, of the culture, even the way they're telling you to set up the kinara. So go to your core African people, go to the official Kwanzaa website. If you want to learn more about Kwanzaa, that's from the US organization. It's called the official Kwanzaa website, and that is every year. We still have our elder with us, Dr. Karenga. He will give a message, and his message for 2020 was actually encouraging us to live the principles. Make sure that we are embracing the principles every day. So it should be a part of our liberty. So that was a message that was reinforced by the founding leader. But as the symbols are there, and I encourage families, especially when you have the children, to get them connected to that piece. The Muhundis represents the children that are a part of the family, because we can't have Kwanzaa celebration without children. So that piece, and again, it's for the education to help them connect to the culture. And so we are systematic in how we go about doing that.
Oh, we give thanks for that overview. And the last question that I want to ask each of our panelists, and if any of our guests want to jump in really quickly, is which principle, if any, or if you can choose one, most resonates with you? Whoever would like to go first, please.
Self-determination.
Yes, that's Kuji Jakalia, right? That's one of my favorites. Give thanks, Mark.
Unity.
Isis. And that one is which one? Ujama? That's no. Umoja. First one. Forgive I. Okay. Yes.
Nia.
Purpose. Give thanks for that.
Yes, so there is two that resonate with I and I, because as in Kenya they would say Umoja ni nguvu, which means unity is power, you know. That is Umoja, that is the number one, and Nia, because you can't live a life without purpose and think you will excel. And the average human being live them life, finish them life, and never ever fulfill purpose. The bees come on earth and pollinate the flowers. Them know them purpose, pollinate the flowers, the plant. But we as African people have to know our purpose and make sure the unity is there. Else we can't have no self-determination. We can't have no cooperative economics. We can't have nothing at all if we don't know our purpose and put a unification to it, you know? So
Black power.
Truly.
Black power.
And Queen Aisha, last but not least, your favorite principle of the Nguzo Saba? You're muted, sister.
Okay, am I all right now?
Yes.
Okay. I would say all of them, but I will go with Ujima. It says to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters problems our
Them
problems
hours.
and to scrub them.
Collective work and responsibility.
That's the one that I would resonate with right now. I mean, all of them, but that's the main one.
Give thanks for that. And Kuji Jakalia is mine. Self-determination, always. Wow. It is funny how time flies when we are having fun. It is 8:39, and I am going to invite Athrajor to share with us a musical performance. And then after that, we will open for questions and answers and to further the dialogue in a more informal manner up until about 9.
Sounds good to me.
Go ahead with the performance.
Yes, sir.
The song I'm going to perform is My Mother. What land was ever as rich as my mother? We won't watch her raped by another. Oh, that we were there for our father. Stand with me, my sisters and brothers. Jewels she gave, wisdom's for the man, but Messiah returned into the blind. Birthplace of all mankind. Near or far, you can't find deepest mystery yet to be revealed. Fools thought your treasures could be mined with steel. Your darkest places conspire to conceal. But to your children, you will hear your promise. Brothers and sisters, see it crystal clear. Sacred waters washing through our air. Join her, put off this dead man's snare. March as one, return unto the rightful heir forever. What land was ever as rich as my mother? Won't watch her raped by another. Oh, that we were there for our father. Stand with me, my sisters and brothers. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Give thanks.
Yes, sir.
Hopeful.
Soulful.
Yes. Yes,
But
yes.
you
We
have for
give
the
thanks.
Congo for the one day.
Yes,
Yeah, man. Atrazor, you can find him on all social media. Please support the thing. Yeah, man.
And we give thanks for the lyrics in the box in the chat after Azor
Yeah.
to be able to follow along. Yes, I.
Is
Wow.
it possible to have a copy of the thread on the chat sent to my email to get all information there?
Yes, there is a way. Wida, I know you've done it before, yes? To pull it. Let me see.
What, the chat?
Yeah.
Well, I normally get it because I'm the host. I'm not sure, you know.
I would appreciate that. And
Mark,
yes,
I
sir.
will share it with I will share it with I.
No problem. I just want to convey my appreciation for the invitation. I didn't understand what it was. No, I do, and I can't wait for next one to happen. And also, I want to suggest that we should put together a little Kwanzaa trip to Africa for 7 days. We're going to ship and invite people to come be a part of the festive moment in knowing who we are as a people. Go back to the African land or Jamaica, somewhere, but it has to do with the Kwanzaa festivities and principles.
We give thanks for that. So, Mark, thank you for raising that question because, okay, as we have had great dialogue, great music, soulful and inspirational dialogue. So we get off here. And as Rita said, do we go back to being good little Africans? So from the 26th through the 1st, or what do we do? What can each one of us do is in our own community? If we're not doing, what could we do? Is anybody inspired? Mark is inspired to go to Jamaica or to go to the continent. Anybody have an inspiration based on this?
Well, I have been. Are you here? You can hear me? Because sometimes I'm not even sure.
Yes.
Okay. I have been to the continent twice, Zimbabwe and South Africa. Spent 2.5 months in South Africa. And you see, when I went there, it's like I was in Jamaica. Why? If only these Jamaicans know how they dance just like the Africans. We have the same energy, movements, everything. The beat is beautiful. If only they could travel and see who they are, you know. And just to add, I don't want to leave this out. We had a school in St. Thomas named Sankofa Prep, the only Afrocentric school who taught children about Africa, about even Ethiopia. They could say that with the Ethiopian prayer. And the sister died suddenly. It was a shock. And you know what happened? The mother gave it to us, some Christians, to run it and just stop the African school. I was so sad about that. I just wanted to put that in.
Thank you for sharing that one. So from our guests, do you have questions for the panelists? Anything else? Anything you would like to know? Please, we're open for questions, comments, concerns, and criticisms as well.
I want to go forward to something that was reasoning about earlier, about the artist them. The artists them, they don't take any responsibility for their lyrics. You know, there's a debate that's been going around, you know, where I guess they're saying the artist them is the cause of the violence or how Jamaica is. And while we know they are not the cause, we know they contribute greatly to how it is.
True.
But they don't want to take any responsibility. But on the flip side, when them do a culture tune, anything them can take credit for come after the effect of the song. Them glad to do that. But then when they start making all the negative music, you know, then it just become, you know, I just some tune me I sing and Ray and you know, and like Altachi say, is what's your intention when you're creating, you know? are you creating to be popular? Are you creating to make money? Or is this a heartical creation? Is
Come
this
on,
a
do it for the
reflection
lights.
of, yeah, it's a real priest doggy, you know? Yeah, man, but
no, continue there, reason. I'm not interrupt there.
yeah, no, may I say art is supposed to be a reflection of what's on the heart still, you know? It's supposed to be what's within you. Yeah, put in some kind of creative form. It's not supposed to be trying to duplicate something that is out there or sounding like something else or you know. So it's the inspiration. And
I want,
like
and I,
for them to go read, man, and to educate themselves.
And I want to add to that too, and kind of show the people them, really show the people them a thing from what they say. I want them kind of get out of the whole savior complex type of mentality. Where it's like if a person not search for Jesus or them a search for an artist to save them, or them a search for somebody who in the limelight, so to speak, for save them. So most people, I try to show most people say I want them start in self-evaluate. And because you see self-evaluation, especially amongst African people, is a pivotal type of thing, you know. It's a thing where really enhance the enhance the mental space and show the direction of we're going. Because as people who know the melanin go already within our structure, where it's kind of like a guiding point. So we want kind of more me to how I pre the thing is like the youth them to start realize. So watch this. So the farmer man over there, so him have the same importance. So the garbage man him have the same importance. So the artist, film importance is just for look what him say and kind of bring that together so we can get a story in a melodic form too. So we want people to start place emphasis. Because you see the same people who are complaining about the artists, them now do certain things. Here a lot of people I don't know. Them are listen to the same artists, them are give credence to them, and yet still them now I put down the other people them who are fulfill the essential duties them at the same time. Because when me hear a man I look pan a youth like I and I we put a life on the line for the cause, and I tell I say, watch you know the artist now do no good music again and now deal with the people. So me I wonder if him realize the artist him I talk to. And moreover, him me and the artist where him a look for give him the thing. Because you can't look for roots and culture in a person who is not here for really instill African values, you know, because most of them don't know African values, you know. Says I and I who know the African values have to find ways to really get it and streamline it to them so them can realize that this is the thing and this is the direction we supposed to head towards, you know.
And one thing I love about that, I noticed the youth them rise up strong in the Rasta livity and sing them big hit tune culturally. And as soon as them become popular, them swing from the principle livity. Man start tell you say, well, them just live them life and it's just a tune. But when them they try rise, they was the most righteous and the most principle within them chad. You understand? I say that amongst the youngest set of crop of Rasta entertainers or artists right now, where certain of them rose up very strong within their message and presentation and so forth. And now, as I said, them get popular and they could jingling start making of them pocket. I said them take time, water down the thing and stray away from the thing. Mr. Man end up in a barber chair, clip up and sweet up and all them thing there and still perpetuate the reality. Say them is orthodox Rastafari. That is not how the liberty go. No one never put a gun to a man head to say Rastafari. Rastafari is a way of life, is a liberty. It is guided by principles. If you can't live the liberty, let it go. Don't perpetrate a fraud.
Yes, please, Paul.
Yes, many of the artists, or some of them, they can't be blamed 100% because you have producers who are looking for a return on investment based on the trend of the of music in terms of what's trending. And many times you'll have an artist, yes, you'll have a risk, something which will keep people. But when the producer looks at the return on investment, because if I add for the thing that song, I might lose my money. This is what is trending, whatever it is, this can not really educate, you know, children, people around. If we do support that again, um, Americans say hip hop or rap, and you could see the whole commercial, stance that they really take in marketing and producing their material. And if you're an investor and you're investing into something, you're looking for significant return. I'm just saying that. So many artists are from possibly maybe lower economic strata, they just opportunities to actually perform or record a track and they grasp at it, they produce. I've been into studios and they say, no, you can't sing that. This is what you're selling, this is what you need to do. So I'm not defending a producer in terms of those actions, but that's how it is sometimes. So many times it's not really the artist, it's the producer who's looking for it, that kind of thing. But many artists, if they have the will to say, no, I will not do this, I'll be looking at it, or push garbage onto the street. But then again, some of them, they're suffering, they're hungry, so they go out there, whatever it is. So the education lies both ways, artists and producers and people in the music. Yes. I remember years ago, I was on a program at the JBC about a year, just called the Record Jury. And we would listen to records every week from all of the recording labels and distribution companies. And we'll go around and listen to them and we'll say, okay, these are okay for airplay, what's not okay, well, actually, so years ago we used to do those things, but, those things have gone, that was the BBC. So maybe to bring that back in, but with the change in, your MP3s and your different social media formats, those times you have to print vinyl or, put a track out physically. But now on the digital landscape, it's very, very difficult. And also it's down to the details as well to stand up and say, well, I want to take a stand. This is what I'm going to say on my stage, and I'm not going to say anything else. But some of them towards popularity and the take the fame, and they say anything that they say. So that's my perspective.
Yeah, true. 'Cause a man can't be popular if nobody don't listen to him, So that is one of the next thing. Or nobody don't play music too. So that's the one thing. We really decide who become popular. So
There
we need
you
to,
go. Our touches, and so we have one of the things that I realize in this room, we have a plethora of educators in the room, right? We have a plethora of creatives, and we have a plethora of artists as well, right?
And media.
That I was just going to say, and media. And as a member of the media, I will say this, okay? I believe that it is my responsibility to be a gatekeeper of what goes out on my show, over my community, into the ears of my listeners. And I say my listeners, me not own nobody, but for this hour of time and space, this is what is going to come across. And so to speak to what you just said, Artachi, it is, I believe strongly in this position, call it whatever it is. There are ones that will never come on my show. I don't care, because what you have to say and what you have to share is not for consumption. It is not edifying. It is not educating. It is not uplifting. It is garbage. And we cannot continue to pump this garbage out on our airways. I hear about the digital platforms, but let me say this, okay? Radio, community radio will never die. Okay, it won't. And if you look at the data right now in terms of music business, what's happening? Radio listenership is actually increasing, believe it or not just the streaming, right? And actually more so. So let me say that for the media that's here, and I'm preaching to this choir because I know the media that's here, but I think that as we go out, we need to flip the dial. Every quarter, I get a report that shows how many people are listening, where are they listening from? Are they listening on the dial, the 99.1 FM dial, or are they listening on the WDJY FM? I look forward to those reports because that's my report card. Are we doing better? Are we getting more listeners? When we're at 28,000, now we're at 30,000. I'm excited and ecstatic, okay? And so those numbers count. My station is not going to keep me on for very long if my numbers plummet. Okay, they will give that space to someone else who will be bringing them revenue and listenership. So it is our individual responsibility as the consumer, but also as media, to be those gatekeepers, but to stop consuming the stuff. If the station in your area, when you're in the car like us and they're playing crap, we change it because we don't want our 13-year-old listening to this. We know she's going to listen to some degree because she lives in the world. But at the end of the day, I have to say to media, and I will take this, just the other day, one of our great referral sources, a talent person, sent me somebody and I never heard of them. I listened to the thing and I had to call them back and they haven't spoken to me since. And I feel bad from a personal and interpersonal level because I like the sister. But I will not subject 30,000 people to that. I will not. I didn't listen to more than a minute of it because I am not putting that in my thing. So thank you for allowing me to be on my soapbox. But you hit a nail right there for me, because I think that we have to take up the responsibility, and the ones who going to shun us or whatever the case may be, fine, let it be so, because we have to stand for something that is bigger.
And there's a misnomer to this. There's a misnomer that culture don't sell. Anyone that have that understanding, them don't travel the world.
Eyes is.
Them don't travel the world. Because moving through the world, and I get the most respect. Being one, coming out of Jamaica, being two, Rastafari, being three, a defender of the culture. We get ultimate respect. That is why Chronix is one of the top recording and traveling artists right now, because of the cultural presentation that they bring. So how can it be presented to the youths that culture don't sell? And these promoters are, promoting slackness and negative energy within the music. In a time like this, humanity today is at a crossroads. Not Rasta, not black people. Humanity is at a crossroads. They have been living an unsustainable way. And nature and life, whatever you want to call it, is bringing us back to that reality. See, it's positive energy we need to be reverberating through the earth right now. Positive energy to calm what's going on in Ethiopia with the upheaval amongst, the same nation of people, to calm what's going on right here in America with Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Don't Matter. Seeing positive energy is what we need, not negative energy like what's coming out of most of these music recording studios right now in Jamaica. See? Yeah, man. I give thanks for this forum. I give thanks for the invitation to be a part of such reasoning. Beautiful. Love it.
Love it, love it, love it.
Isis, we give thanks for you accepting, Priest Dougie. Any other questions, comments, or anything for whether the panel or with us reason? Kyra, yes, please unmute, sister.
Oh, yes, thank you. I think it also starts with how we treat one another, how we engage each other on a day-to-day basis, because sometimes we can be so focused on our craft and what we're creating that we forget that we're supposed to be loving and thoughtful towards one another. And so if we can be mindful of how we talk to each other, the tone that we use, the way that we engage each other, my brother, my sister, and actually mean it, that's how we also make sure that we affect our culture in a more wholesome, loving way. If we can love each other, then there's nothing we can't do.
Truly. Give
Good.
thanks to that song, sis. Give thanks to that song.
Can I
Thank
also
you.
speak to the point you made, Andrea, regarding media, and to ask what our thoughts are on issues of sponsorship and commercial media? Because my experience teaches me that the big conglomerates, the soft drink companies, big pharmaceutical companies, and just big companies generally, that they will pump a lot of money into commercial media for the same kind of trash that we're talking about to be promoted over the conscious or at the expense of the conscious. And that when media is owned by other than ourselves, then we find ourselves begging for a space in a place not owned by us, not sponsored by us, and therefore which will not be able to adequately represent us. There is a radio station in Toronto, for example, where the owner just died, the only Black station in Toronto. And it went to auction. It was put out to the Black community to be purchased. And eventually what happened? It was purchased by Indians, right? And that happened just 2-3 weeks ago. Now, I know, for example, that in Jamaica, there are radio stations have come up here and there for sale and so on, but we have not been, if we're gonna, even within Kwanzaa to talk about collective, the economics of things, we have not been able to buy our own spaces, to pay for our own spaces, or to even adequately sponsor our own dialogue. So we find ourselves at the mercy of big conglomerates whose interest really doesn't lie in promoting African consciousness or African centeredness or African community development. So the question that I think even within the concept of the Kwanzaa 365 is the extent to which we are willing and able to buy into these spaces, to own our own. And that has always been a challenge and continues to be.
Yes.
Yeah, positive point you bring up, sis. Very positive point. We have to be willing to fund our revolution. If we want change, we have to be willing to fund our revolution. We have to put our money where our mouth is. That is where it comes in again, another principle of Kwanzaa, supporting your Black businesses.
Yes.
You know, we speak the words, you know, but we have to walk the walk as well. And that is what that is where we lack, you know, where we have media houses that are servicing our communities that are not owned by us. That means they are not expressing our sentiment and our message. They are in there for commercial profiteering mainly and solely, you know, and we tend to just keep, you know, supporting these media houses and not looking to create for ourselves. That was a lesson of Marcus Garvey. Do for self what we're looking for others to do for us. Self-empowerment. And that is where the introspection comes in. When we look within ourselves, within our communities, what do we lack? What is creating the void? What is the problems? You know, what is fostering these problems? Lack of control of our community in all aspects. And as the brethren said earlier, propaganda, as Marcus Garvey always teaches us, propaganda is a very important aspect of human development. The media houses, they are propaganda houses. People tend to listen and accept what they hear on TV and on the radio more than from word of mouth, face to face. From they hear it on the radio, it is law, it is true, it is divine providence. You know, so we need to have control of some of these media houses ourselves so we can send out our own message. You know, just like how we need to have control of our schools so we can educate our own children. You can't send the lion to the bear to teach him how to be a lion.
Yes, so as I mentioned, I do radio, but I also do business development. That is really my real job, believe it or not. We've owned a consulting firm for the last 14 years and done a lot of work in a lot of different spaces. And one of the things that with Black businesses that I find the need to teach consistently, and this is a basic principle, and I think it's just a life lesson that we need to over as a people, is the principle of sowing and reaping. No seed gets put in the ground today and the fruit comes up tomorrow, right? A lychee tree, which is one of the most expensive fruit per pound here at this particular time, I think it's 7 years, I say, right? And I think our people, when it comes into business, we don't have just even that, we don't from a mass consciousness, that principle as a part of our livity, that when I own my business for a lifetime, but it doesn't, and my business is a conduit to wealth and legacy for my children and their children and their children's children and children and children. But instead, the first time that I make a profit, I want to take it and upgrade my car, upgrade my house. For the ladies, upgrade my purse, upgrade my shoes. Okay? And I don't want to sound disparaging or critical or anything, but I see this all the time because our folks, going back to collective security for sure.
Real talk.
Right?
Real talk,
we have to plant the seed. And that means, say, at some point, we might have to ban with belly while we're waiting for the fruit to come in.
Sacrifice must be made, yes.
And we have to get together and water the plant, the tree. And we have to get together and guard the fruit from those who want to come in and reap it prematurely. And so in what I started about 3 years ago, when I do business development startup trainings, that is where I start, particularly in our community. Because as Atachi gave me that illumination of Umoja, the music started on that first principle, right? It's the same thing I was thinking, and it makes me sad all the time because people that look like me will come into my office and will have a flashy car key on their thing, red bottom shoes on. And again, I'm not envying, I'm just speaking a fact. Biggest whatever designer purse and blah, blah, blah. And when they have big dreams, but then they say, well, I can't afford X, Y, and Z, and I can't do X, Y, and Z. Right? Whereas people who don't look like me often come into my office looking like whatever, old jeans, sneakers, blah, 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 no fancy key, but they have the money in the bank to be able to take their business to the next step. And some of them will tell me, I live in this community or whatever, or I'm still living in my parents' house. I mean, real talk.
Yes,
and I think that going back to what you said, Kabul, going back to what you said, Priest, going back to what everybody has said, is that we have to start with educating ourselves and our youths, but we also have to start with that principle as well. Sowing and reaping, because that is, I believe, the foundation for our overall success and to really continue with Nguza Saba, 365. Yeah. And again, thank you for allowing me to get on my soapbox.
Yeah, true word sound, because as a people, we need to really understand how the matrix work and what the matrix really designed for do, because we try, I feel like most of the things that we are talking about a while ago is like a catch-up. We are trying to play catch-up, all right, then the white man had this, so let us try to get this to validate ourselves, because if you check it, what is really, when you break it down, what is a red bottom? what defines the red bottom and what makes it separate from everything else. There's no difference. It's just who do it. So we really have validate ourselves off a white type of standard, a popular culture standard, a consumerism standard, and we keep on do them thing, and it really a stop with upliftment, because a man realize say, or a woman don't realize say, when them get caught up in the matrix, them don't see the full thing, because the same corporation where you will look up to, you don't see the unethical side of the corporation, or the injustice where the corporation have give the people them. Because every corporation in America, the first thing a person need to know, the corporation is a person. So that simply means say, once a corporation is a person, it takes off the heat off of them. It take the heat off of them. So any unethical thing with them, they don't go back to any given individual, So we can't idolize that person of a corporation where its sole objective is to make money and not morality. So in ourselves, we have to find some morality and let go the mediocre standards we have, because majority of hydrins and cisterns have a mediocre type of mindset where we give in to the matrix and we don't try to find a way out. So we have to start finding a way out now as a people, 365, and know say, if my brother over there start say that, and it a deal with positive vibration, if you must say Kwanzaa, and that align with Rastafari, we have to make sure that we start come forward and do it, because probably the name sound different, then we don't want to go with it. But as long as the principle them intact and the mindset intact, we have to do that and let go the generic mindset where capitalism kind of bring on to it,
Unity without uniformity,
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
and we have to teach youths them the value of support. Supporting each other, supporting Black businesses, just teaching them the value of support. Because like Andrea said earlier, it's like within our communities, like they'll go to other communities and they'll pay whatever price. But then they'll always look at the prices in our community and try to talk it down, try to say it's too high or whatever. But they never do that outside the community, It seems like outside the community, the higher the price that people ask, is the more they want to pay it. So it's that validation. It's that validation again, like Artat is saying, and just being able to say that, okay, we're going to value the things that we create. And we're going to elevate the things that we create. We're going to support the things that we create. And let our children understand, say, it's not the Nike or the name brand. It's not the this or the name brand. And them thing that the name brand. You see what the man they met down there, so that are the name brand. And them thing that we are support. And getting them to buy into that community support,
My brother, I often experience that with my business. Because I do various business, but I have a store here in Fort Lauderdale as well. And once virgin and virgin sisters and sister will come in and they will buy something and they'll take up something else and say, yo, Ras, I got you for this next time. Them come with a certain amount of money where them know the product costs more than that and always want to have you for next time, and there's never a next time. And two them know says the Rasta man, and the Rasta man now go stick out pan Caesar. It's a common practice of theirs, not realizing that they're undermining their own development.
True,
understand. We have to value our services and our products, just like any other race, any other nation does. See, our cultural artifacts, our craft, our music, you understand, our apparel, everything that we produce must be of the same value as all others value theirs in the world. I don't know why the self-hate continue to be perpetuated among us in our community, because we don't value the services that Black people offer to Black people. As I say, we will go in other stores, other communities, and we'll pay double to the Jewish lawyer to come and represent us on a case. But with the Black lawyer, we'll look for get a break,
If I may,
Go ahead, sis.
oh yes, thank you. My apologies. If I may add, I think there's this competitiveness. My great grandmother used to call it a crab in the bucket mentality. And if we can value one another the way that we value other ethnicities and what they bring to the table, and we can have this mindfulness that whatever I'm creating is an extension of who I am. And when I pour into you, I'm actually watering myself. That's how we change the narrative, because so many times when we're dealing in business, we have this mindset that it's just about the money, but this is a spiritual transaction. It's an exchange of energy. So when we
True.
can be mindful of how we're exchanging energy with one another and how we treat one another, and again, how we perfect our craft and having excellence and standards, and making sure that just because you have excellence and standards doesn't make you Eurocentric, it makes you strong and respectful. That's how we change how everyone sees us, because it starts with self. And my apologies, I wasn't trying to interrupt you. I have a child and I'm trying to make sure that she doesn't interrupt. So thank you for everything and allowing me to share this evening.
Beautiful talk. It's beautiful talk.
Yeah, definitely. And I love what you just said, sister, because in business, and I just finished teaching business ethics this semester, and one of the questions that we pose to our students is what do you say when somebody does something in business and they say it's not personal? Well, my response to this, and again, I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years, all business is personal. All. I don't do business with a rock. I do business with another human being, another sentient being. So it's personal. It is a very personal thing. And I will say this again, there are companies, there are ones that I will not do business with because I don't like your ethics and I don't like your values and I don't like how if I spend my money with you, where you spend your money and what you invest in. And so, and that is real. I tell folks that in terms of our contractors, the people that we go to for different services, there's only one white group that we have, and only because we've not been able to find a Black one. We've tried, but we have not successfully, and we will not give up. And it's a mechanic. That's the only, everybody else, the dentist, you know what I mean? Everybody, people of color, because we believe we are entrepreneurs. We run our own businesses. We want the support of others. So we have to give it as well, back to the sowing and the reaping. But I love that you said that, Sister Kyra.
All right, you hearing me?
Thank you so much.
Yes,
you can hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? All right, what I just want to say that I've seen a change. It is not a big change, but I have seen it. I've seen where in Jamaica, some Blacks who I would never think would even go natural or even locks their hair, even if that is a change. I've seen some kind of change, and I give thanks for that. So we just have to keep pushing and keep doing, and I just want to say that, this is such a good discussion. I wish it could be more. And, we just give thanks for everybody input, and we're always learning something new, something different, and I'm really, really happy to be a part of this. I think it was kind of like the fault, but anyway, because remember that thing I put out on Facebook, I said, interesting.
we were looking for the panelists.
No, I got one response. Nobody was interested. One response. And just to say I have to put this in as a media person, that Andrea John Baptist and Asafa Wiedemeyer will be on ISIS program, that is ISIS program, Miller, on Friday at between 11 to 12 on Roots FM, Roots 96.1. So I will send that out so you can listen to the interview, because it's never too much. Thanks to everyone. I know there's more we can say, but there's more to do than to say,
True.
Forward to the people.
Athrajour? He was
I think he was.
Oh, he was saying sign off. Okay, we give thanks for his blessing as well. Well, it is 9:22. We said we were going to end at 9 o'clock, and the reason just gets sweeter and sweeter. So if there are any final words, and I just want to share with you that we are looking at doing these events quarterly. And as Wida and I were reasoning this morning, he agreed that we should do one in March of next year, and we are looking at an herb theme. So the healing of the nation Rasta, Reggae, Resistance, and Herb. We haven't fleshed out the topic as of yet. And so we are always welcoming recommendations for panelists. We do like to have at least one artist as part of the panelists. But we are always open for recommendations, and we encourage you all to please come back and share the information that you have tonight.
I will also have artists perform, so yeah, definitely a forum, you know?
Absolutely. Any parting comments, questions, criticisms, concerns, additional blessings?
Yeah, man.
Suggestions for other topics.
Much love and light to the IDMT, you know, for even create the platform so the reasoning can take place, because for the Black liberation struggle, things like this needed. There's a discussion for really start, put some direction, share information is a pivotal thing to the movement. So we give thanks for all of the IDM presence too, you know.
Yes, I give thanks.
Be true to each other. Be true to each other with love. Just be true. Just be true. Don't go around the bush. Just be true, because the truth is what will set us free. We don't have to go around here and there. No, come face it, deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah, man, stand up for something, because if you don't stand up for something, you're going to lay down for anything, you know. So make us stand up for rights and with justice and, you know, for the betterment of our community. Make us take back our community from the politicians and from all those barracudas that are preying on our people right now. Through knowledge, through education, through self-empowerment, you know, through the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Yeah, man, I man give thanks for this vibe.
Powers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fire, Isis.
Love.
Greetings, Tarsetti.
Yeah, I get to the session late still, but you know, it's better to be late than never, them said. And as always, you know, always informative. You know, it's always good to come in a forum and hear some good vibes, you know, some good views. Very educating, you know. And give thanks to the invite. You know, next time I'll try and make it much earlier. So, you know, we can participate in whatever is going on, the uplifting, the upbuilding of ones and ones, you know? So give thanks. I got the last 20 minutes, but it was ice thick, you know? Blessed love to everyone.
Blessed love,
Yes,
and the replay is on YouTube, so if
all
ones
right.
and ones want to take in the full thing, you can go up on YouTube and
Isis.
Yes, sir.
Very nice, very nice, very nice.
Yeah, man, love and light, man. Straight up.
And so with no further ado, I'm going to say good night and blessings upon blessings. And we give thanks for Dr. Blackwood, Queen Aisha, Artachi, Priest Dougie, and all of you who joined us for the 3rd staging of Rasta Reggae Resistance in Guza Saba 365. Bless up yourself and walk good.
Straight up.
yeah, man, blessed love family.
Good night, everyone.
Joyful night.
Rastafari.
Blessing, blessing.
Blessed love.